Welcome to you.
Can Sip
Can
with
Sip
us.
with us. I'm
Hey,
Coll.
I'm Ashley.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Well, for any of you who are new, welcome.
Welcome. We are so glad
You
you're
are
here.
welcome. Do
You
you feel
are
welcomed?
You are welcome for what you're about to experience.
That's Are you sipping
This
on
is our
anything?
gift to you. What?
Yes. Are you sipping on anything?
I am. I just got back from a run, so I made like a little post-run cocktail. It is. What did I put in here? I put aminos and electrolytes. Did I put electrolytes in here? Yes. Aminos, electrolytes, and I thought I put something else in, but maybe it's only those two things. Rehydration station.
Nice.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're fresh off the old run ski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you sipping something?
I am. I'm sipping a stevia root beer, which
Yes.
root beer has been my friend this pregnancy.
Yeah.
Root beer slaps, man.
It does slap. And I do like those Zevia ones. You know, John's a very routine guy. So have we talked about his like nightly routines? I think we did talk about this before.
You mentioned he has a root beer every night.
A root beer with pumpkin seeds. That combo.
What?
Yes.
Not
Pumpkin
in the
seeds
drink.
and root beer.
A snacky snack. Do they complement each other?
According to him,
Apparently.
he gets in these. He used to do like IPA with jalapenos or pepper, like the pickled ones or pepperoncinis.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a long while, like he'll go in these periods of time. So for a long while, it still is like a glass of red wine with spicy salami and pepper jack cheese, and he like does like he's very methodical and slow about it. Like a bite of salami lets that flavor, you know, like I take a bite of salami and put the whole thing in my mouth and I just eat it real quick. He's like there's a whole process to it. But yeah, that's his final. Like he usually, after he puts the kids to bed, gets his, you know, meat and cheese and wine, sits on the couch, turns on TMZ. He puts Mac to bed first and then I do Rev. So then while I'm putting Revy to bed, he's like doing that and watching TMZ. But then like I know he's ready for wind down when he goes and gets his pumpkin seeds and root beer, and he sits and we like finish whatever show that we are watching. And
wow,
and that's like his final thing before bed. Yeah,
we are 80.
I know. Can you even? Oh my god,
we are 80
unreal
years old.
Unreal.
Yeah. I woke up this morning. Has this ever happened to you where you have a dream and it feels really real and then you wake up and it sticks with you?
Uh-huh.
So get this. I had a dream last night that Kris left me.
Oh, while you're pregnant?
Yeah.
Stand up, guy.
Well, I don't know if I was pregnant in my dream, but I dyed my hair blonde, and I think that was part of it in this dream world. And then we were going on a plane with friends, and we're like at the airport. I think everything's fine, and then he doesn't show up on the plane, and I'm like, oh, he's about to miss this flight. Did he go to the bathroom? Like, is he whatever? And I'm like, he's got to be coming. He's got to be coming. The plane takes off. I call him at like before you lose.
You're on the jetway.
Like after they tell you to put it in airplane mode, but before the phone can no longer work. And he's in the car, and I knew he was leaving me. That's how he left me. Was
runaway bride.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm driving to the beach, like we're done, you know. And it was like these things. He like started airing out reasons, and it was like I woke up this morning, and I saw him in bed next to me, and I had this feeling of rage and anger and abandonment and all these things I've been harboring towards him all day. But here's the twist.
It didn't actually happen.
Yeah,
here's the twist.
Here's the twist.
It was just a dream.
It wasn't a dream.
Uh-huh.
I actually can't believe I'm saying this because it feels crazy to say. In his dream last night, he wakes up, and I told him, like, oh my God, I just woke up from a dream that you left me. He's like, I don't know how to tell you this. Literally in my dream, I left you too. On the same night.
Oh my God. What does that mean?
So the reason he left me in his dream was because I bought a rhinoceros at the zoo and brought it home.
You can't be home? You brought it home.
Home.
Yeah, you can't be tamed.
A pet
like,
rhino.
I cannot be held accountable for this. I can't be associated.
And just anger, like, of my sort of impulsiveness and not thinking it through and the things. And so I don't know what it all means, you guys, but that's where I'm at today.
Wow.
A lot has
if
happened.
I have time, I am meeting with Erica, our medium, on like the 28th, and I'll ask her.
You are? I didn't know that.
Well, I just scheduled it because I went to go schedule. Because I'm at like this weird time where I'm really having to let go of any limiting beliefs in order to level up. Of like, I've been holding on to this sort of security of the paycheck that I have had, and that is starting to rapidly decline. And I have been just like sort of teetering and like, questioning, am I making the right move? Am I doing the right thing? But then I'm like, no, I'm doing the right thing. Like my brain is going to try to keep me comfortable because it's going to talk me out of what I want for this. Always happens when you're about to level up, your brain will try to talk you out of it, of like, right. So my brain is like, well, it's fine. Just like go back to what you're doing. Like, it tries to keep you comfortable. It tries to keep you safe because safety is survival. And it doesn't understand the difference between like safety of pursuing a dream versus safety of a bear chasing you. It's just trying to keep you alive. So when it starts feeling this uncertainty, it's like, let's not do that. But I know I'm about to level up, and I just want to talk to Erica about it and see what her thoughts are on the whole thing. Like so I'm like, my brain, it used to be like 80% sticking with the comfort, 20%, maybe this could happen. And it's gradually shifted. And now it's like 80% this is going to happen, 20% am I making the right choice? So it's like flipped. And the only difference between me and like busting my life wide open is my brain. That is true for all of us. Like if we can level our brains up, then results will just happen. They'll just naturally happen. So I'm excited to talk to her, but she has a year-long waiting list.
No.
I went to go book her on her through the link in her profile or whatever, and nothing available. So then I messaged her and I was like, well, she had messaged me on Instagram something, I don't remember what. So I wrote back and I said, hey, I was trying to book with you. And it's funny because she doesn't message me on Instagram that often, but the day that I went to her site to go try to book with her, she sent me, like she responded to one of my stories or something, just randomly, right? And I was like, hey, I was trying to book with you. It looks like you have no availability. And she's like, she's like, yeah, I'll get your name on the wait list and, or cancellation list. I'm booking out a year. But because we're friends, I think she was like, let me, I'll see if like I'll move you
see
up.
What I can
do. Then she reached out and she was like, hey, would you be able to do this time on I think it's the 28th, next Monday. And I was like, yeah, I would reschedule anything.
Wait to hear about it.
Yeah.
She's exactly who you need to talk to.
She's
right
amazing.
Now. She's exactly the right person for this moment.
Yes.
In time.
And I might message her beforehand just because I know her now. Like I trust her that I don't need her to like, I believe what she's going to say. So I don't need to like not tell her anything so that I can see like, is she really a psychic? I believe her. Right. So I might message her and be like, hey, this is what I want to talk about. Like maybe if you want to talk to my guides or anything before then. So she comes in with sort of a idea of what it is that I'm, thinking about.
Yes.
So I'm
speaking of her, if you guys are new here, Spiritual Medium Erica is her Instagram, Erika. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of episodes. We've had her on like 3 times now. She's incredible. And but this reminds me, we still get a couple of messages and emails fairly regularly. She's had a big problem with like impersonators who are, it almost seems like they're targeting our listeners, or maybe just a lot of our listeners follow her.
What?
But we've gotten several messages from listeners of our podcast saying, Spiritual Medium Erica messaged me to schedule a booking, but she's asking for my credit card like over messages. Is this right? No, it is not. On her actual Spiritual Medium Erica Instagram, it in her bio, this has gotten so bad. She says my only Insta because there's impersonators who are trying to take advantage of people. So just
she has
beware.
like 80, doesn't it say like 85 plus 100 followers or something like that? So if there's any other account, it's not her. But also if she's ever asking for credit, like she has a whole site and system. She doesn't ask for credit card.
Would never ask you for that.
No,
so
like her assistant emailed me the link, to book and stuff. Like it's legit.
Buyer beware.
Also, I was watching her stories a couple months ago or a month ago, and she had something happen. I want to say like seizures or something out of the blue, and she was in the hospital. Like she can't drive for a year or something now, and she's okay. What? She had like a big medical thing happen recently, and I was wondering if that's also why she's on she can't do as many readings or something. She's still like active and stuff now, but I was watching it and she did like a Q&A on it. But yeah, she had like this big medical thing happen out of the blue. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
I just love her. So yeah, guys, go give her a follow and get on her list because
ASAP.
She's just an awesome human,
Beyond. Yes.
Beyond.
Guys, this whole episode's 2 sipping it. This is 200 sips today.
What?
Like we're gonna give like our 200 sips instead of 2 sips because we're doing it 2 times.
Yeah.
Double whammy.
Yes.
Your double whammy.
Correct.
But before we get into
that, is this the 200th episode? How many episodes do we have of this podcast? It's got to be getting close or over that. I'm gonna look it up.
Probably.
We're at 169. So this will be episode 170. So it's 200 sips on 170. Oh my gosh! It's 200 sips on 2/22/22.
No way.
This is on Tuesday, 2/22/22. I just typed in the thing for Chad, 2/22/22. Is that not crazy? 2 sips.
2.
Yeah.
Are you ready to sippy sip a dip?
I'm ready to sip a dip.
Okay. This one comes in from Blair. Okie doke. Hey, Ash and Coll, double fist or soul sipper here. That means that Blair's also over on Patreon. She hangs out with us on Fridays too.
She's the real deal.
Speaking of 2s, double dip each week with us.
Uh-huh.
First off, thanks for your podcast. It really helped give me something entertaining during the last few months. Here's the sitch. In July, I found out I had a large tumor in my uterus. Wasn't given any real options other than a full hysterectomy. That's everything comes out except the ovaries, which at the time wasn't a big deal as I never wanted to have kids on my own. I always wanted to adopt. Surgery happened in August. Follow up in September. I would find out how bad the situation really was. Basically being told I was lucky I came in when I did, as this would have become an emergency response very, very quickly and likely wouldn't have made it. The tumor itself was over 3 pounds. And she wrote terrifying. Yeah, that is terrifying.
Wow.
There's another paragraph here, but I'm so glad that they caught that in time. I'm almost 6 months out now post-surgery and feeling fine physically, but mentally is another story. I feel like I handled everything almost too well because I had no intention of having my own children. I'm stuck feeling like I handled the physical part with flying colors, but the part that women look forward to getting back to living is where I'm struggling. I want to move forward and look forward to all the things to come, but I'm not having a good time when everyone around me is telling me to celebrate that I'm okay. I just can't seem to jump on board. Hope you might have any insights on how to address my thoughts and feelings. I literally just said, I'm just so glad you're okay. Thanks for all the laughs when I needed it most.
I'm confused what she's asking.
So she's in the spot where it's yay, you made it, right? Everyone's celebrating that they caught it in time, that she's okay, and she's finding herself 6 months out, mentally, physically she's fine,
right.
Thank God, but mentally it's this major thing. It's almost like she's catching up to this major thing.
Yeah.
And everyone's just oh my God, I'm so glad you're healthy, you're fine. And it's no, I literally my life could have been at risk.
Yeah.
I think she's dealing with some, I mean, I don't know, but it sounds like therapy. I mean, speaking of BetterHelp was like the perfect ad to read right before this, but it almost sounds like you've got some things to iron out, because that is a major thing that you went through, is a major surgery that you went through, is a major like thing that you found out, and a big like physical change too, like to go through that where, like part of my body's getting taken out, and it's like to save my life. Mm-hmm. And then especially if people don't really know, like if it's like, hey, the world's just moving on, and it's like you're still like, whoa, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. So, and she's saying she passed the physical part, like the physical part of it, not being able to have children is fine, but now it's the mental part of like, whoa, this just happened to me, kind of. Is what
that's what I'm sensing. From this is like she's supposed to just get back to normal. Everyone's like, cool, you're great, like going back to normal, but she's like on the actual struggle bus.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I would say first, probably all those people are well-intended. That's probably one of the situations. Like, honestly, when Coll went through what she did, I can only relate to the words that Coll is sharing. Like, I haven't had that traumatic of an experience, right? So I can do the best to put myself in her shoes, but I do remember when you said to Kris before you were going into the room, when you heard Bob Marley playing, to play the podcast for Ben, right? Like I remember like telling that story later and crying about like how scared you must have been in that moment to think that. But even still, I don't understand fully what you experienced, right? Like, and I'm not going to therapy about your experience because it didn't happen to me, right? So like, I think your friends are well-intended, but it makes sense that they're trying to just like support you now in a way that they think is supportive, really not knowing maybe the kind of support you need or how this would actually feel if it was you that went through this. So I do totally agree with Coll. I think therapy. And I also think that there's nothing wrong with you, that you are like processing this now, that there is a delayed sort of trauma response. That's actually probably very normal because it was survival at first of like, okay, well, this is what I have to do and I'm going to take care of it. And then it sort of catches up to you. But Coll, this actually might be a good question for you to answer because this is kind of what you're going through right now.
Yeah, I talked about this on Friday, like this residual, like where it was like when you're in the moment, and I don't know exactly her experience, but like I can only speak to mine, and it's like when you're making those decisions really fast, it's too much. You can't possibly process all of that in real time. You just can't. Mm-hmm. And you've been impacted mentally, physically, emotionally, and that's going to take way more time to heal than just the physical part, to your point. And so definitely get yourself set up with some therapy is like for sure the recommendation. Give yourself space and grace and patience, and you will like, and you might not ever, you might be changed permanently. Like, I don't think the goal, I'm speaking like, okay, I can only speak to my experience. I'm like, okay, this changed me forever. Like, it's okay to not go back to where I was. That doesn't make me wrong, like, or like broken, but it's just almost acceptance of that. And like, there's like, it's good to talk to someone and talk through that and figure that out.
I think that's key, what you just said, acceptance too. Like allow, because it sounds like maybe part of what she's doing is now because her friends have moved on, feeling guilty that she hasn't moved on or something. And I don't know if that's exactly what you're experiencing, right? But like if it is, and I'm saying, what's her name?
Yeah.
Or did she say?
Hold on.
I'm just saying, like, allowing yourself to be experiencing the trauma and processing it. Like, it's okay, right? Accepting that it's okay that you're not just like sitting in, like, because there is probably a part of you that's like, I am grateful to be alive and I feel overwhelmed with what just happened or what I just went through, right? So it's like both, it's another one of those both ands. And so I think as best as you can, releasing any I should be feeling different or I should be over it, right? Like the shoulds that we place on ourselves or any guilt that you have about still going through it, releasing that, because that's adding to, of course, the stress of the situation now. But
and I think it's less about the friends too, and more like friends can be a mirror for where you're not at sometimes. Like okay, so like when you lost Brewer, it's like, you know, the world moves on, people move on, but that sticks with you. Well, like grief, you know, is a good example of this, where like in her, it's like her, you know, her friends are like, cool, we're so happy you're alive, and it's a reflection of like like, whoa, I'm very much on my own here in this experience, and it can feel lonely, and it is very individual what, you know, this listener is going through. And I think that's part of it. So like, it is these moments, these critical life moments can be lonely, but you're not alone, even though this is your individual path. We are here lifting you up. We love you.
But therapy, we can't recommend that enough, because I think that this is probably something deep. And if you try to handle it yourself, it'll just continue to be deeper and deeper, and it'll, you know, manifest differently in your brain.
Okay. This comes from Raquel. And so, guys, if you have burning 2sip questions, you can, a couple different ways, go to sipsquadpod.com. There's a form there that you can fill out. You can also leave us a voicemail via our Instagram. There's a contact button and a phone number. So this is coming from our sipsquadpod.com website. How did you know it was time for baby number 2? Were you and your partner on the same page about timing?
Oh, that's it. I don't know if we were on the same page. I think we kind of were. John was just never really convinced that he wanted a second one. And like ever since we had Rev, he's like one and done. Cause I mean, and I see it now, the kids really trigger his anxiety and all the things that could go wrong and ways that can hurt themselves and all of that. But I knew, and I just tried to get everyone to talk to him about like, no, we have to have 2. And then there were things that we had. And so it was like 1 month that we were going to try. And then if not, we were going to wait like a whole other year or something. And then it ended up happening. But it wasn't really like, I don't know if you know that it's time for baby number 2, but if you have baby number 1 and you think you want to grow your family, I don't think there's ever like a perfect time to have a kid. So, and you also don't know like how your body's going to respond or what's going to, like how long it might take. So I would say if you're ready, then pull the goalie and just do it, you know, and then see what happens. Cause I know people that had no problem getting pregnant with their first, but really struggled with their second, or even had to go through IVF with their second and failed, right? Like couldn't end up having more kids. And not that that's going to be your story, but we think like, well, if I just plan it perfectly, then it'll be great. But one, I don't think it's ever like, there's never like, oh, this is exactly the right time. It's like the right time is going to be when it happens, and the life will figure itself out around the baby. So if you're ready, I would just say, pull it and be having sex and see what happens. And then if you're like, okay, it's been 6 months, then you be more, you know, calculated about your ovulate, like all the things that you did.
Yep. Yeah. There's no one that comes in and says it's the time.
Right.
You know, for me, biology, like I think we're programmed to want to procreate with our partners. Like biologically, I think that something kicks in at some point. Not always. Definitely not. There's definitely people who are like, that is not, you know, that's great.
Yeah.
That's not biology not working for you. It's just, I think after, like I felt this pull that I had not felt, where I was like, I want to procreate.
Yeah.
Like that was never a thing. And I don't think that was like, it didn't feel like a choice necessarily as much of a shift or something. I don't know. It's kind of like, it was like kind of fascinating how that happens. But Kris and I were on the same page like both times, you know, about wanting to, well, 3 times really, about wanting to procreate together. And I don't know, didn't feel like he was on a different page at any point. So I don't really know how to
But if your
answer.
husband is, that's fine. Right? Because it's like mine, it was the same for us, but that's not always the case. So if your husband is like, the way that she asked the question makes me think that maybe they're not on the same page, and that's fine too.
Can you hear Betty in the background?
Mm-mm.
All right. She's losing her mind, man.
Oh.
Betty's my wiener dog. She's not ferocious. You wouldn't know that.
She thinks she is.
Trying to hear her now.
Yeah, we can't.
Okay. This one comes from Jacqueline. First, thank you for being my big sisters when it comes to all things life. Oh, the subject line, by the way, is am I overthinking this? So thank you for being my big sisters when it comes to all things in life. Your Amazon store saved me when I had my daughter over the summer. My husband is from a broken marriage. His parents divorced when he was a baby, and his father went on to remarry and have 2 more children. My brother-in-law and his wife have been together for 10 plus years, and my husband and I have been together for 9. We both had daughters in the last year. My husband's family has always treated us different. We are the last to know about events, issues, or family topics. Recently, we have been left out of birthday dinners or just excluded
entirely. Didn't we already
entirely.
do this one?
Did we?
This sounds very familiar to me.
I internally wrestle with this because my family is so close to each other. We are constantly communicating and looping everyone in. The reason I bring this up is we are now having babies in our family, and I am terrified that they are going to treat my daughter different. It's going to affect
her kids the same way. Yeah, I think we did this one. Or at least the exact same story from a different person.
Okay. So Chad, we'll just edit this out. Yeah, it was a new email.
Just recently?
So I'm going to... Yeah. So 28 minutes, I'll just have Chad cut this out.
Well, shit. Does that not sound familiar to you? Now I'm like, am I having deja vu right now?
Well, I felt like we got one that was like, it was awkward with the family, like the in-laws, but I don't remember this exact
I feel like
email.
I remember this exact thing, that they had daughters and...
We'll just cut it out. We'll cut it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shit.
It's okay. We'll cut it out. Okay.
Well, because like that would be good if we hadn't done it, and I don't know.
Cut it
whatever.
Out. Okay. Hey, Ash and Coll. So the 28-minute mark, I'm going to just make a Chad edit. So we'll take one more and then we'll cut to ad. Hey, Ash and Coll, Double Fister Soul Sipper. Whoa, here from Nova Scotia, Canada. First of all, I love you guys. I'm binging past Patreon episodes and just finished You Can Ask Your Daughter Not to Be a Moron in the episode where you were talking about age differences with Mary. This is the old one.
You can ask your... I can't... But we said that. I probably said
that. The titles on
Patreon
are just random sound bites, you guys. So anyway, so she says, I'm engaged to someone who is 50 and I'm 31. We are so happy and our relationship works so well. I'm just wondering your opinion on relationships with big age gaps. Anyways, please never stop podcasting. You guys make my work week so much better. I'm a dog groomer, so the dogs and I listen to you guys all day. I'm not sure how I'll survive when I'm caught up and have to wait for new episodes. That's funny. Dude, dog groomers are the like MVPs, man. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay,
so what did she say the gap was?
What are our thoughts? So she's engaged with someone who's 50 and she's 31.
Okay.
What are our thoughts on big age gaps?
I was going to say, I don't think I have thoughts on it, but I'm trying to like scan my brain to be like, if I do. I think I probably initially, if I see someone 31 and someone dating a 50-year-old, I'm sure I have initial judgment. I'm sure I would judge you. But then, and like, that's fine, right? Like people are going to judge you and they see you at the grocery store or whatever. Like you go to his company parties and whatever, like people are going to, and that's fine. But people are judging you even if you're not dating a 50-year-old, like people are judging all of the time. Yeah. So, and sometimes good, sometimes bad. I don't think it matters as long as both of your guys' intentions are where you want them to be. So I don't really care that you're 19 years apart. Your family's probably going to have some opinions. And like, I think the work for you is to be okay with people having opinions, right? So the reason that other people's opinions would affect you in this situation is because you, on some subconscious level, also have those opinions, right? This fear of other people's judgment. And because otherwise, like, it just wouldn't matter to you. If people judge you on the color, like they're like, oh my God, I hate your blue hair, and you don't have blue hair, you don't mean it as anything. But if someone judges you on something that's actually going on and you have a concern that judgment might be coming, like, you will absorb that a little bit more. So I think your work needs to be on, how do you feel about dating and being engaged to and married to a 50-year-old? Like, and your conscious brain's gonna be like, oh, I'm fine with it. But like, what is your subconscious brain, and how can you retrain that because like maybe you were also someone that before you were in this relationship would have judged, right? And so that is in your subconscious. And I think the biggest thing is going to be that you've got your own back on this, because judgment's going to come, and that doesn't make them wrong. Because it is what it is. And you can be upset about that. And I'm not saying it will be easy, but I think the biggest thing is you having your own back, and not be, like, not thinking they shouldn't have judgments. Like, if they're going to have judgments, that's fine. I know that we are right for each other, and this is the relationship I want to be in. And I understand that people are going to judge. That's all right. I'm happy. He's happy. We're in love. Cool. Your judgment doesn't affect our love or our life. I don't know. Easier said than done, but that's the work. Like, if I was life coaching you, that's the work that I would do.
Yeah. And that's super helpful. I think I for sure judge big age gaps when it's like not in the, like, you're in kind of a sweet spot. Like 30, it's like you're old enough. 30s, like, you're making decisions. 50, you can be young at heart. I mean, I really do believe souls connect, and people aren't necessarily always their age. That like, you could be an old soul, young soul, whatever. Scott Disick having these relationships with like these 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. I totally judge that all day, every day. I'm like, if I was their parents, I'd be pissed off that this is like, you know what I get to? I get curious, and I also question motivation, right? Like,
on
for sure.
who? The older, on both parts?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. But especially more so the older person, because I think there's more responsibility there, and young minds, I just feel like, are more influenced and more fragile. I also judge young women with very old men.
Especially if they're like successful in any way.
And like real old guys.
Yeah.
Really, really,
like
really
Hugh
old.
Hefner.
Yeah, like if Kris and I are out to dinner, like, that's some good people watching. I'm like, what is going on there?
Yeah.
You know? But then I'm sure if I got to know these people and like actually like saw the relationship, I'd probably be totally different. But like from a rubbernecker standpoint, just from the outside looking in, I'm talking about it at dinner with Kris. I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents. 30 and 50, if I saw you out, I wouldn't think twice. Because that's like, I don't think that's
you
that
wouldn't?
big of a, I don't think it's that huge of a gap. Like, probably looking at them physically, I feel like it's probably like, I don't know. I wouldn't think that person's like out with their dad.
Yeah.
You know, I think 50's like pretty young.
Yeah.
I think
I mean, 30's
like mature.
Young, for sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wouldn't think twice. But like,
but again, like, who gives if you're in the right spot and he's in the right spot, who gives a fuck who's judging? Again, also easier said than done, but like, people are going to judge, and
totally,
that's okay, right? Like,
totally.
The pain from their judgment only comes when like you absorb that judgment.
Yes.
So,
okie dokie. Okay, this is just a listener email. Because we had talked about like, hey, how do you find friends like when you go places? So someone has a suggestion. Hey, listening to your recent episode, my husband and I moved across the country to Dallas in 2019 and didn't know anyone. I downloaded Bumble BFF.
Oh,
I didn't. That's cool.
I think I've heard that there's something like this.
So she said, I downloaded Bumble BFF and started chatting with lots of ladies, but it got overwhelming with people wanting to meet up and balancing work. So I organized dinner at a Mexican restaurant on a Friday night and invited lots of people from the app. Ooh, that's a cool idea. About 25 of us showed up, and it was an amazing night. I know several good friend groups came out of that night, including one of my own. I'll be a bridesmaid in a wedding in May for one of them I met that night. Definitely recommend trying the apps out. That's a cool ass story. And this is from Rachel. Thanks for sending this in, Rachel. That's cool.
Okay, what is it? I'm Googling and I only see Bumble. So I got to find Bumble BFF.
Bumble BFF. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
That is awesome. I was catching up with a friend the other day, and she was talking about how she was out to out to a meal, and there were like these women sitting like nearby her, and they were like clearly like it was like a meetup of some kind, and my friend was sitting on her own, like I think it was like before a work meeting or something, and they invited her over to their table, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to come join us?" And they are part of a book of the month club where they just like meet up one time a month to talk about a book, and now she's part of that club. And so you could probably also use an app for that, like, hey, anyone interested in like reading a book and meeting up once a month, like kind of like a I guess before you make that kind of commitment, you want to know who you're going to get. So maybe like the Mexican food night, it's like the nice start. And then like if there's cool people that you meet suggesting something like that, so you actually get into like a cadence of hosting and like seeing somewhat regularly, but it's only like low commitment but like high potential to make good friends.
Yeah. I love that.
I love those ideas too. Okay. Back into the meatier stuff. Okay, this comes from Katie. And it's 2 sips in-law trouble.
Uh-oh.
Hey ladies, double fist or soul sipper here. I need help. I'm a mom to a beautiful 3-year-old little girl and a 3-month-old little man. A couple months ago, we were spending time with my in-laws. My 6-year-old nephew and my daughter were playing together. They came out and whispered something together and then shouted, "I'm so fat." It took me by surprise because my daughter had no idea what that word means. They both started laughing along with my in-laws in the room. Now, I'm a hardcore Enneagram 9. I don't know anything about nines.
Peacekeeper. She doesn't like
Meaning
drama.
I hate rocking the boat.
Yeah.
So I didn't say anything and just changed the subject, but it really bothered me. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law both make comments on how they are fat and the diets they are doing to basically starve themselves. They comment on other people's weight and definitely don't care who's around to hear it. The last weekend we were with them, I heard my nephew make comments about his weight multiple times. He's 6 and far from overweight. I realize there's nothing I can do to change their minds, but I have a job as my daughter's mom to teach her how to feel beautiful in her own skin. I've made it a habit to always talk nicely about my body to her and to be an example on how to love the one body you have. We are going to be seeing my in-laws in a few weeks, and I'm just needing some advice on how to start a conversation with my daughter when and if the topic comes up about being quote unquote fat, and whether or not I should have a conversation with my in-laws about saying these things in front of her. I grew up listening to my mom talking badly about her body and how much she hated it, and it definitely affected me as I got older, and I don't want that for my daughter. I realize the world we live in will also affect her. I just want her to have a strong base before the world has a chance to get to her. Thanks, ladies. I think probably a lot of people can relate to some degree to this, like whether it's the world or outside like influences or language, right? And like this sort of culture of like commenting on bodies and wanting to change bodies, and it's everywhere. And so yeah, this is like a huge like I just feel like a lot of people can relate to this. And like this is also one that's like I'd love if other people have had situations where they've like tried to parent to this or had conversations, like difficult conversations in their life with other people, and it's worked well and you've had success, like what tips have worked. And so email us at youcansipwithus@gmail.com, because I think this would be a good hangover like sharing one. What do you think, Ash?
I have so many things I'm thinking. Okay, so I know that people bitch when I go life coach route, but like that's where my brain is. I have worked very hard to have a brain that can think this way, and so I'm going to utilize it. So when these people write in, sometimes I just will be like the human, and sometimes I try to go neutral and have them look at their brain. So I have a few thoughts as you were writing. And my first thought is, yes, the world is going to impact all of our kids. But they will learn the most from you. They will learn the most from their parents, for sure. So I think it's great that you are managing the way that you speak. And I would also not just talk nicely about your body, but like also just neutral, and also not even talk about it sometimes. Like it's just not right. Like that it doesn't have to be this big thing. And yeah, talk about how strong you are and how, comfortable you feel and whatever, all of those things. I think that's good. But I also think sometimes people overcompensate. And still, my goal at least is to just have a body be a part of our lives, not the main focus. So the other thing that I thought, you are an Enneagram 9, which doesn't like to rock the boat. And I can appreciate that. But you have some options here. You're sort of saying like, well, this is the way that they speak, and I don't like them talking like this. So what do I do? And I think there's a couple of options. One, I don't think it's necessarily rocking the boat if you maybe not in that moment, because then they might get defensive, but at another time addressing it with them, or if they're your in-laws, maybe you talk to your husband about it and sort of explain, like, because they don't know that most people do not, especially our parents and our parents' generation, women's bodies were fair game to talk about. And so they're very used to it, and they don't know that like that they were raised like that, and that is why they feel so comfortable doing it. But that's also why they're calling themselves fat and talking about how dieting is all of what they need to do and all of that stuff. And so explaining to them like, I don't want to do this to our kids' generation, right? And I know it's all well intended, but I want to try to avoid talking about our bodies in front of my kids. And, being really kind, and maybe even saying like, I grew up with a lot of, whatever your thoughts are about your body, and I'm trying really hard to not pass that on to her. And so, I totally get where you guys are coming from, because I want to say that stuff too sometimes, the way I think about my body, right? Trying to meet them a little bit so they don't feel defensive. Yes. But I also think as a parent, if you want to, it's important to have that conversation. And you can tell yourself, well, I don't like confrontation, so I'm not going to have it. But I would challenge you to rise up to that. And then the other thought that I have is, if you really you have that conversation, and I would put a boundary in place. But I don't have any issue with confrontation. So like when my dad says stuff, I will say, I don't want you talking. And I don't say it in front of Revy, right? Or Mac. I don't want to draw any more attention to it. So maybe even in that moment, as they're coming out and saying, I'm so fat, or whatever it was that they screamed, if you would have said something in that moment, like your daughter, you said she doesn't even know what that word means. So if you would have said something, maybe then she's like, oh, I can feel the tension now. What's going on here? And then she takes more notice, versus she's just playing and it's something that's said and she doesn't pay attention to it. Yeah. So maybe it's even better to not say it in that moment. And I don't have these discussions with my parents in front of Revy, but I do talk about it later and address it with them, and they're respectful of that. I know not everybody is, but then you would set a boundary of like, you would talk to them, be kind, and then if it continues happening, then it would be like, I really just don't feel comfortable bringing her around until maybe she's older or something. I don't know, but that would be something you'd have to talk to your husband about. But you would enforce that boundary if that is something that they're continuing to do, and you continue to feel very uncomfortable with it, which, I would too. Then you have to decide what you feel most comfortable doing. Like, do you feel most comfortable exposing her to it, or not, exposing her to it if they're not going to stop? But I think that they don't probably know what they're doing, and then they probably will be open to your feedback on that, especially if you come at it from a like, we're same team kind of place. Yes. Not, you're doing this and this is harming her. It's like, I've wanted to do this too, and this actually harmed me, and I don't know. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing, like impact wise, and you're seeing something that they're not seeing. So you're like, whoa, how do we all see this together? And like, there's probably a billion other situations where, as parents, especially like when it's other people who love our children, who are around our children a lot, it's like, hey, we're working on this thing with them. Can you support me? It's like, yes. Hey, we're changing bedtime routine up. Can you help me by following it? Like, here's what it looks like. Like, there's lots of tools you already have to help you with this conversation. And so like I always go back with critical conversations to like intention impact. I know this wasn't your intention, but here's my concern around potential impact.
I love that.
You know, and like I have worry and concern about this, and you know, you might not have even realized it, but she had never actually even said the word fat until like a couple weeks ago. And like, I'm like kind of, you know, like just kind of meet them where they're at in a very positive way. But like, can you guys help support me in my parenting? Because here's my goal.
Yeah.
Like, I want her to feel, you know, like this is her one body. And I know eventually, like, I can't control everything about everything that influences her, but you guys could really support me by XYZ, you know, and get really specific about the ask. Like, can we not talk diets? Can we not talk fat? Like changing bodies, like when her little ears are here, you know, and thank you. That really helps me, you know. Okay.
You're not someone that I feel like loves confrontation either.
Disagree now. I feel like I disagree with that now. Like, I don't love confrontation. I feel like I pick my battles though. Like, I feel like there are things that bother me, but it's also like, I'm not going to die on every hill. It's just not worth it to me. But I also feel like, especially with like work and everything, I am not afraid to nip things in the bud and address it.
How did you, I mean, for her, like, and maybe you've always been like that. But how do you feel like you know, stepped into that more confident place of like, I'm going to voice an opinion that is important to me, right? Because it sounds like this is important to her.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just takes practice. Like, it just takes practice. And I think like having a plan too. And so I think like for someone who doesn't want to rock the boat, hopefully these tools are helpful. Of like, we're getting to the outcome, but it doesn't have to be what you're thinking it has to be. It can just be, you know, a comfortable conversation.
Yeah.
But you're getting to the same place.
Yeah.
This is a hill I would die on. This is important, you know. But I also think personality, like I don't think I get fired up about a whole lot. Yeah. You know, I don't it's not that I don't care. I just like, it's not that I'm avoiding anything. I think like a lot of things just don't rattle me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But then when they do, it's important to talk about it. Yeah. Like, and it's important to address it right away. Because otherwise, if you don't, things get weird.
Well, yeah, and then it builds up, right? Like she's noticing.
Yes.
And then probably you're not enjoying your time when you're around these people. And yeah.
It's not fair to yourself. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. This one. Oh, hold on. We're going to do one more. So Chad, edit these like transition ones out as I'm like trying to find like a good one to end on. Because we're almost at, where are we at?
51.
50. Yeah. Okay, good. Good. Okay. Advice patron here. So we will prioritize, if you guys are double fist or soul sippers and you put that in the subject line, we will prioritize these messages. Hey ladies, I need some advice. And this is a request to keep anonymous. My husband and I have been dealing with infertility for over 2 years now. We got married when I was 22 and I'm 25 now. I know I have plenty of time to be a mom. I have PCOS and I am learning how to heal it naturally, but that takes time. We are in the middle of adopting a baby, which is such a blessing. However, every time I hear of someone getting pregnant, I cry uncontrollably. It doesn't matter if I'm close with that person or not. The tears just start rolling. I get filled with so many emotions: sadness, jealousy, anger. I'm so thankful to be able to adopt, and I know that God will give us a baby that fits in with our family perfectly, but I want to experience pregnancy too. Any advice on how to handle these emotions of mine would be so appreciated. Love you, ladies. Thanks for all you do.
I feel like, I mean, I can go, but I feel like
go, yeah.
This is more in your.
Well, kind of and kind of not. Yeah. Like, you know.
I think so much just about our mind. And like I want to recommend therapy again here.
Yeah.
Because I've never experienced infertility, but I of course have experienced like jealousy and sadness and grief and all of those things. And I would be curious maybe what you're making it mean about yourself. Cause there is like sometimes when people are going through things, like grief or sadness would be a natural emotion here, right? Like if I were to be coaching you and I'd say, well, how do you want to feel? You wouldn't be like, well, I want to feel happy. It's like, no, you want to feel something about it, right? Like grief and
Mm-hmm.
sadness feels appropriate to me. And I don't think that that's wrong. I think one, then you're beating yourself up about the grief and sadness, right? Which isn't helping you. But I would also be curious if maybe you're making it mean, because I know with a lot of women I've spoken with about infertility that they sort of make it mean there's something wrong with me, or like this anger at my body that this thing my body is supposed to do is not happening. And that thought, I am not sure is serving you. And that's where I would be curious about, like, what are you making it mean? Because sadness about it is normal. If this is something that you've wanted, you really want to experience carrying a child, and that's not happening for you in the way that you thought it was going to, I would be sad too. I think that it's probably healthy to feel sad and not try to just move to a positive place or say that there's anything wrong with feeling that sadness and grief. Like, I actually think that's a very healthy thing to
Mm-hmm.
have the confidence that you can experience sadness and grief and know that you'll be okay and it can flow through you. But where you get stuck is one, resisting it. Like, I don't want to feel this, or there's something wrong with me, or I shouldn't be feeling this because we're so lucky to be able to adopt. And all these things that you might be telling yourself. But I would also just start digging into what is the story, like what are you making it mean? And that is probably where some of the deep, deep pain is coming that isn't actually true for you, right? Like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
I don't know that that is a useful thought. And again, I don't know what you're thinking, but I would not coach you away from feeling difficult emotions, but I would coach you away from beating yourself up and treating yourself poorly.
Yeah. 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 And it's God, yearning for something is so hard. And then seeing others experience the thing that you're yearning for,
Mm.
I don't wish that on anybody. And um no one wishes that on anybody. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
just like, and then there's also, yeah, this like in our world, it's like we should be happy all the time, or this is like what we strive for is to be happy all the time. It's like life's not like that. There's a
Yeah.
lot of just crap kind of all the
Mm-hmm.
time. And there's like moments of happy and there's like moments of joy and chapters of happy and joy. And this is a chapter that you're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is a chapter that you're in right now. You will have other chapters in your life. So the question is, how do we navigate this chapter that you're in that is not forever? Like this is the right now, and feeling all those things is okay. To Ashley's, like, all your points are so good. Like you don't have to cover it up or put pressure
Mm-hmm.
on yourself to not feel those things. Like I feel like it's part of getting through this chapter for you. And I'm glad that you wrote in, because
Mm.
I just think it's so important. Like, and people don't have to share what they're struggling with all the time, but it's what a gift when people are like, when they do open up and share, because there's probably a lot of people listening to this who are going through a similar chapter, to know that they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like really beautiful. So I just want to say
Yeah.
thank you for writing this email. I wish you all of the love and support through this chapter as you navigate it, because it is not an easy one. And I would love to see pictures of the adopted
Mm-hmm.
baby,
Yeah.
once that human is part of your family. Um, that's all
I
I
think
got.
that's a great point about writing in, because there is probably a lot of people that feel shame over not like shame over what you're experiencing, but also then like shame over I'm not able to celebrate other people initially when they get this kind of news.
Yeah.
And that's also a normal thing, right? Your feeling is normal, but shame is one of those emotions that never serves us ever, ever, ever. So what is the story that you're telling yourself that is causing shame? Because that is the root of the pain that is not healthy and is not helpful. So I think it's really brave that you wrote in. And yeah, I also want to see pictures of your little Bambino.
Yeah. And you can have both. You can be so excited for this adoption and also be grieving.
Both and.
You can have it all. We're complicated. People are complicated.
Yes.
You know? That's it for Two Sips, but I did want to share this Two Sips follow-up quite a while ago, and we've shared many stories about like infidelity or cheater McGeaters and all these things. And so we got a message from someone who said Two Sips response to cheating from a former cheater. So I thought this was an interesting thing. And yeah, you guys, if you ever have, like, if you want to weigh in on stuff that you think would be helpful for our audience, like, definitely write in about that stuff too. So she said, hey girls, Double Fist or Soul Sipper here. Please keep this anonymous. I have a response to a recently read Two Sips that I would like to share. I was the one who cheated in my marriage 7 years ago. I got married when I was 20, but that's not an excuse, just context to my story. Anyway, he filed for divorce, and that was the slap in the face wake-up call I needed. We went to counseling and started peeling back the layers to our marriage that we never talked about. It was a lot of hard work, but man, did it pay off. Now, 7 years later, we have 2 beautiful kids, and we are more in love than ever before. I really do think things happen for a reason. Even though it was an extremely tough lesson, it made me realize what I felt was actually important. You are both absolutely amazing and make my days as a stay-at-home mom much more fun. I love you both so much. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
All right, let's bring it home. Let's land the bird. Do you have a rant this week?
I have a lot of rants in my section of rants, but I don't know if I've said some of them before. So rapid rants. Did I talk about the fire detectors going off?
I can't remember, and we've been criminals of double ranting on things before.
Yeah. So, rapid rants. Apparently, all the batteries in our fire detector were placed in them around the same time because within like 2 weeks of each other, they're all going off. But it's like and it's also happening in the middle of the night. They don't do it like at 10 a.m. in the morning, middle of the night, 2 a.m. They're like beep. Like this, but it's like the warning, right? So they're not like going off like there's a fire. They're going off like I'm about to die. And I'm like, why don't you just die already? Like I'm sleeping.
Come on.
But we have these ones that John took it out of the ceiling and we tried to replace the battery. Still can't figure it out. Took it out of the ceiling and it's still, and I asked, we have a friend who's a firefighter and he's like, yeah, sometimes they have like even backup things in there. So like it'll keep signaling or whatever. So he unplugged, like we had to like cut wires or something like that to get them to stop because replacing the battery didn't work. And now we're basically living in a fire hazard. That half of the house, we have like 3 fire detectors that are not hooked up anymore. We need to get them figured out because they were just going off randomly and we don't know how to, like, batteries aren't working. And when you plug it, like take it out, it still doesn't work. So we've like had to really shut them down.
Dude,
shut them down.
I just want to take a bat to it.
I know, we want to take a bat to it. Another rant that I have is, you know when you're getting on the highway and they're trying to funnel you, but there's nobody. There's it's not like there's like a line of cars. It's you pull down the on-ramp and it's like rush hour-ish time, but you have to come to and there's no one around you, no one in front of you, no one behind you. And you have to come to that complete stop at the red light before you get the green to go. And I'm like, can't I just go? Because like, I don't understand why they are there at red. Instead of like, maybe they should at least be at yellow. So it's like, hey, caution, just use California your own judgment. If, right? I get why maybe they don't have them at green because then if there's a bunch of people coming down, there's no filtration system. But I don't understand why, or why don't they have sensors way back at the start of the ramp so when they know, oh, there's a car coming, I can turn this green so I don't have to come to a complete stop before I get on the highway and have to gas it up again when there's nobody else here. Yeah.
Come on.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Come on. I know exactly what you're saying.
I don't understand. Another rant that I'll offer, when you go to the grocery store and they put one piece of something in a plastic bag. You have like 10 items and they send you home with 8 plastic. This doesn't happen in Oregon because you guys I don't think use plastic bags anymore. Arizona is like, oh, the planet's dying. I'm going to expedite this process. I'm going to send you home with 27 plastic bags that you can't recycle. You're just going to kill the planet and the birds and the turtles and everything. And I'm like, no, literally just like jam it full. And I bring in my reusable bags, but I forget at least half the time. So it's also my fault. But like the amount of plastic, there needs to be a college course or something in high school where if you are going to bag things, you got to know how to maximize the space. And also, why are plastic bags even around anyway? Why aren't we all doing paper bags all of the time?
Yeah.
Or like compostable.
There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way.
There's got to be a better way.
So I don't think paper bags are like awesome either.
Are they not?
I don't know. I feel like
California has it right. California charges you like 5 or 10 cents. I think it's like 10 cents a bag. So that I'd be curious to see, like, has that made an impact on how many bags are used? I bet. Because when I'm there, they're like, do you want to pay 10 cents for a bag? And sometimes I say yes. My sister that was in Hawaii too, she would like bring her plastic bag and reuse the plastic bags that they had. But it would probably, you'd be like, okay, I got to remember to bring my bags in. Right? Yeah. Right? It's like the planet is dying and we're just like.
Plastic bags suck too because if there's a couple things, they don't have structure. They don't have weight. So they don't hold anything. Oh, yeah. It's all going to flop anyway.
Yeah.
You might as well not have one. It's going to be just rolling around in your car as it is.
I saw this thing. It was during COVID that I thought was really smart, and I haven't done it yet. But what they said is, you go to the grocery, you check out, you haven't put everything back in your cart, and then you go to your trunk and you have a laundry basket in there, and you just put stuff in your laundry basket, and then you can take it inside. No bags needed ever, right? And I love that idea because then, like, you're the smart one. You just from the cart to the basket to the house, and you put the basket back in your car. Especially if we have those collapsible baskets, so it's like lays flat till you need it. I just haven't done it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, I could go on, but those are my 3 rants I'll leave you with today.
My rant is I got a prenatal massage, which was great, and I paid. They had like a little, hey, for X amount more, we'll give you a scalp massage.
Oh.
And normally I say no, but I'm like, a little head massage like that kind of like sounds nice.
Why would they charge you extra for that?
Well, it was like a longer plus 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Of just scalp massage, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna sign up for that. And so, and this is like a far and few between situation, but like I was not expecting. So it was like we did the whole massage, and then it was time for the scalp thing, and it was I hear you got your eyes closed, but I could hear the bottle come closer to my head, and then I heard like squeeze, and it is like I was getting like basted with hot oil, like not hot, but like oil, and it was like, let me get this in all parts of your scalp, let me just like rake it and it was squeezed like half a bottle, and then it was like just rubbing oil into my scalp, but not really a massage. Getting oil out of hair. Like that was an extreme amount. But if you go to get a massage and they get a lot of oil in your hair, I mean, I was doused. I was like, I literally just got
an oil spill.
Oil shampoo I was in an oil spill. And like when you wash your hair, and I'm like, I did a double wash. I washed it, and then I did other things, and then I put another round of shampoo, and then I did, like, I was really like, how much of this oil can I get out? And I probably should have Googled it because it was probably a hack to do this better, and I just didn't know. But then I dry my hair, and I go to dry it, and when you're drying it, but you're like, wait, it's dry? That's not possible. This is still wet. My hair's still wet because it's all oil.
It's so greasy looking.
The amount of like getting oil out of hair, dude, is like, that's my rant. It just should not be a thing.
Yeah, you should call him back and be like, hey, I know I paid you for the extra 15-minute scalp massage, but then I spent 45 minutes at home trying to get it out, so I think you owe me. Like,
you owe me.
The net here. He's like, you actually owe me. I had to massage myself more.
And also another rant. Washing hair when you have a lot of hair, long hair, and drying, going through that whole process is exhausting. Yeah. It's a full workout.
So what do? You're like, fuck, now I have to go back in the shower and try to wash my hair again
tomorrow.
It's like, I have to quit my job now to just have, I have no time to do anything else. Yeah. Kris, you got to be on Ben duty. I've got to shower again.
Yeah. He's going to just leave me again.
It's a whole, thing.
He's just going to leave me again.
Oh my God.
All right. Do you have a rave this week?
I mean, I could.
I got a rave.
Okay, you go. Because I did a bunch of rants.
You know what makes me feel alive?
What?
This is gonna be a quick rave. We happen to have some whipping cream in the refrigerator. Okay. Follow me here. Open up the fridge. Open up it's not on the side, it's in a drawer. So you open up the drawer. Okay. Take a bottle of whipped cream out. Yeah. Take the cap off. Open your mouth. Squeeze it in. Yeah. I feel like a renegade. I feel like a cowboy. Like hell. Cowboy. Yes. I am alive. Yes. Dude. Or get this. Ben's been like, we got some apple juice for Ben.
Yeah.
Apple juice slaps. Speaking of things that slaps. Okay. So you open up the fridge. Take out apple juice. The whole thing. Okay. Undo the lid.
Yeah.
Put carton to mouth.
Glug, 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 glug.
That'll make you feel alive. You guys want to rush?
You guys want to go for a ride?
Drink something right out of a carton.
Yeah.
Or out of the can. That
is renegade status.
That's how you want to feel supercharged in your life?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Go do that.
Do it. Take it to the
vibe for this week. All right, you guys. We love you. You can sip with us always. Tell a friend. Leave us a love letter. Just a letter. Thank you.
Leave us a love letter.
In the reviews, Right, but tap that 5-star. It keeps everything going.
Come over on Patreon if you dare.
Yep. If you dare. You can sip with us always. And we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.